So this is a pork shoulder from a Llano Seco ranch.
This has been hanging up for 2 months. That is super special to us. That's like a singular thing, and it's an incredible amount of effort and time, but it allows us to serve pork at a super high level.
So we get in half pigs. I'll cut the shoulder and the leg off, so you just have the shoulder, leg, and loin. Kind of the cool part about the way we do this is normally people cook shoulders whole, slow cook them, but we break apart each individual muscle, so there's no connective tissue left. So you can just grill it like you would like a steak or something.
When we're taking one large part of the animal and seaming out muscle by muscle, tonight during service, Tuna will pass them up, and we'll have to cut a little piece off of each one and check for texture. And then that will determine how thin or thick we slice it. We're totally okay with everything not being the same, which sounds a little strange when you talk about consistency, but when I refer to not being the same, it's like it doesn't have to look the same on the plate. It's gonna taste the same, but we're gonna change the way we cut it.
So the rest of this, we can hang back up, and because there is the shoulder blade there, all that meat is still gonna be protected. It's not gonna dry out.
It's just super soft and tender. In the cool room, we have a little bit of like a meat calendar. So the birds need 2 weeks. This has 2 months. We have this constant rotation of different proteins that we work through depending on different dietaries and cover counts.
So now I'm gonna clean them up and clean up all this like the fat and connective tissue so that we're just left with just a really clean, perfect portion. Once it's cooked, we can just slice and go. This is incredible. Worked in a lot of restaurants and I've never worked with a product like this. It sounds unassuming, it's like pork shoulder. People wouldn't expect to get that at like a 2-Michelin-star restaurant, but as chef was saying, like the way we treat it and everything makes it really special. A few hours before service, I will season it and then I'll start slowly smoking it over cypress.
Fire 6 pig.
Yes.
Tuna will cook the pig, pass it to me. I carve all the meat at night, but I taste a little piece and that will determine how thick or thin we cut it, whether it needs a little bit of finishing salt because fat content, but we really kind of focus on the hyper seasoning. This is incredible. Good cooking. Honestly, it's amazing. I think that a lot of menus currently right now are pretty similar, and there's an expectation of luxury ingredients when you are at a 2-3 star level. So I am proud to say that we don't serve caviar, we don't serve imported beef, we don't serve truffles and things of that nature. We're trying to show what a 2-star restaurant can be, serving humble ingredients. It's 9:30. We're in Point Arena, which is about 25 minutes south of Elk and Harbor House. Everything you see here is actually owned by us. One of our cooks who lives in town, they'll stop here and pick up the ingredients for the day. 2 days ago, I saw on the end there massive kohlrabi, which we'll harvest. So we have a course on the menu right now. It's barbecued kohlrabi, and it's just the entire kohlrabi.
It's a white kohlrabi. I prefer this variety because it's more uniform in terms of growing. And it's fairly consistent in terms of flavor, which is something that you want if it's going to be central to a dish.
It's 11 a.m. So kohlrabi from this morning. Sam will fabricate these, peel them down.
So you take off all this really thick outer skin and you end up with this kind of like faceted diamond, and then I'll kind of peel it down. So you'll end up with like a puck. Then I'll pass off that trim to chef. He'll do puree with that. Salt it like fairly heavily because we do want it to go all the way through the vegetable. And then we'll kind of put it in a warm place above the grill, just kind of sweat out a little bit of that moisture, get the seasoning all the way in.
Since we only do one seating, 5:30, we understand that this will probably walk around 6:45, 6:50, depending on the pace. We have a couple hours to get the texture where we want. This probably concentrates down probably 40–50%.
Now I'll set up the grill to start him cooking. You're gonna have to keep turning it and brushing it with butter and refreshing the coals and stuff, so you can kind of rush it. It'll look right, it won't taste right. And it like needs to cook really, really slow. It really gets like barbecue-y. You could cook a brisket fast, but it won't taste the same as like a smoked brisket, and this is a similar kind of thing.
This is like 3 years of working with kohlrabi. It's something that we've been working on, like this cooking technique, and every year it comes back around. We change something, So this year's version is actually my favorite, obviously, because we're going in a forward direction. And we're starting to change levels depending on moisture content. So they'll go from here as he continues to remove moisture. Over the next 4 hours, it's gonna really concentrate, and we'll get this like barbecue bark on the outside. We have kohlrabis up here. We're starting to realize that most of our guests don't know what a kohlrabi is. We do a kohlrabi. We put a whole kohlrabi that's raw on the tray and we bring it to the table. Being in this area, there's a lot of farmers markets and small farms, but quality is not always the first thing. And while I appreciate that and I understand that style of farming, it's not really super good for a restaurant. After 2 years of trying to do that, we decided to start a farm. It's just a major quality to be able to harvest that morning and then put it on the plate. Our abalone course has slowly become a bit of a signature for us. One of the most important and first steps for the abalone is to go down to the cove, grab some of that seawater. So 5-gallon buckets of ocean come up, and then every day those abalone are stored in there. Seaweed is fresh pulled that day as well. See the staircase behind us? We just came down just beneath the inn. This cove is actually private to the inn. We have the only access. We're at a negative tide right now, so we're usually underwater. This is nori, and we use nori all over the menu. We harvest about 9 different types of seaweeds from this cove. It's kind of like our second garden. Late March to September down here, harvesting everything and preserving everything we need for the rest of the year. So this time of year, it's early mornings and a lot of extra labor to get us through. Can you take this bucket, grab some ocean for salt and abalone, and then I'll meet you upstairs.
This is the ocean water that we grabbed earlier, and we use it to keep our abalone alive, changing out the water every day.
Abalone is coming from Monterey. This is the furthest away we source. We really do keep it local. Farmed underneath the pier in Monterey Bay, super sustainable, and they've just been a great partner.
Pull them out, kind of let them relax a little bit, because if they're stressed out, they won't be as tender.
If these were to come in today, the dish is different. They're too stressed out from travel. A lot of precision in the actual cut and the pounding, and it's going to result in a super soft texture.
So after processing all these abalone, I'm gonna wrap them in kelp and roast them off.
Contents of the abalone course. Abalone, which will get roasted in kelp, offal for the gut sauce, and then the adductor.
We get 2 portions out of each abalone, but the packet that they're roasted in ends up being part of the presentation. We serve it on that packet, so we need twice as many pieces of kombu as abalone. And if you cut them in half and cook them, it's not the same. You need to cook them whole. So we found down at the cove similar sized rocks to the abalone, so we can cook the kombu packets and it'll get a little crusty and form that shape without sacrificing any quality of the abalone. It's actually like part of my prep list is like cook rocks. I have definitely accidentally cooked an abalone thinking it was a rock, because the rocks cook at a different time than the abalone. Rocks take like 12 minutes to cook. I'm not kidding, because you have to cook, make sure the kombu's cooked, but the abalone take like 10 minutes. All right, let's cook some rocks. This is rock cookery 101.
It's gonna be the tagline of the video.
Check it after 10 minutes. 30 minutes is too long. You can overcook rocks. So the whole point of this is just so that like it'll kind of like set the kombu so that it's not just like sitting flat. So to replicate like the same way that it would look if an abalone were roasted. Those are done.
It's hard to say a signature dish, but it's definitely been evolving, and the style and preparation of abalone, where it's harvested alive and roasted in the kelp, lends itself to a super, super soft texture that is only obtainable through this process. We're gonna look for lichen, which is part of the tempura dish. Spending some time in the woods, in the forest, the beginning of COVID. Initially, I had fried it. The texture was just god-awful. And then we started to think about it like a noodle dish. So this is some of the lichen that we harvested. I don't think anyone else is making this. It's unique to us. It's not something you can buy. Can't buy this. So we blanch it 3 times to get away some of the stringency, some of the aroma. Then we finish it in dashi, and it kind of soaks up that taste and has the texture of like glass noodles. It goes with the mushroom because it is earthy, and it adds another balance to that course. Honestly, it's one of the guests' highlights throughout the meal, and I don't think many guests have ever had that in their life.
So we got in some SQUABs. They're from Devil's Gulch Ranch. So we need to age them for about 2 weeks, and I'm gonna lightly salt the cavity. It's not to season or anything, but just to prevent them from unwanted bacteria. And then the next step, pin the wings back just to keep everything uniform.
So as it hangs up, depending on, sometimes we'll go this way or this way. We have a couple fans in the walk-in, constantly circulating air. The resulting bird will have a lot tighter skin. So later on, when we go to cook it, grill it, smoke it, we're able to get this super crispy. And then the flesh itself is really concentrated, so it's like totally amplified in taste and texture. So we do rotate through a couple different meats, so squab, the pig, lamb, and then beef from our ranch. So just depending on what's available, this is one of the meats that I believe in and I think fits our menu. Local, it's raised in a super sustainable way, and the quality of it is super good.
It's kind of like a rotation going here. So we have the fresher birds over here. These ones up here are ready to serve. They're about 2.5 weeks now. So again, you can see how much drier they are. Now that it's been properly aged, I'm gonna take the heads off. The wings we use to make a sauce. The legs we will cure and confit. And the heads I tried making a garum out of it, so we might be able to use that as another like seasoning agent. And now it's ready for service.
Our cooking technique is we slowly smoke it over cypress, and then we finish it with oil that's 550, and that really puffs the skin and gets it super crispy. So it's got this texture and aroma of aged meat, but something really, really crispy on the outside.
Yeah, so one of my last tasks for the day here is going to be breaking down rockfish. This is called a blackgill rockfish. Yeah, we have a few fishermen in Fort Bragg that they're really small scale, line caught, and when they have fish, we have fish. When they don't, we don't. So I have to be ready to basically work with any kind of fish. Before working here, I'd never really worked with almost any of this product. I had no idea anything about rockfish, skate, cod, cabezone, yeah, bocaccio, sea cucumber, definitely pretty much just had to learn on the job. This is the trim that we created from making the abalone packets, so we're not wasting anything here. All right, so this rockfish has been cured for 30 minutes now on kombu. Yeah, so after rinsing it off and drying it on like really absorbent tuna paper. It's not my own proprietary brand. So then just letting that dry off, just since I rinsed it off, and then we'll slice it closer to service.
Being here and really trying to zero in on our products, we started to understand that there's 30 species of rockfish in this area. Again, it's just diving into the products that you have and truly understanding them. 2 o'clock now, kind of majority through of the actual prep day. Kind of a bit of a push right now. We start from scratch every day, 18 portions of everything, not much preparation. There's zero getting ahead for the week. It's a bit of a push every day. Every day we'll tape 2 cards here, and throughout service, I'll just jot down notes on little things that I think we can improve on, or things that we're doing great and we continue to expand on. So, all right, good evening.
Good evening.
18 tonight, 9x2, no IRDs, a couple small menu changes. All right, we're gonna run back over a couple notes. Obviously, last night we had a couple high maintenance tables. I want to thank Adrienne for the time she spent at table 1 working that guest experience, because that was probably one of the more difficult ones we've had. Like we discussed last night, it's a learning experience, right? So I look forward to having a good night. Everyone that works here works their ass off. I've never had an easy day here, and I'm sure they'll say the same. An easy day is a day that you're not moving forward, and we sit down every night, next day at lineup, and we go through every single thing that we could work on. We talk about the positives as well, but it's also like, okay, here's our little bottleneck, and this is what we can improve on. Meeting's wrapped, it's 5:10. Last finishing touch-ups before we open doors at 5:30.
We want to be waiting around for people. And instead of like scrambling to finish those first tables, we want to be like ready to go.
So right now I'm portioning it's the red sea urchin from Fort Bragg. We're doing it with a chilled chawanmushi, a chilled custard. So it's with the custard. Today it's warm out, so it's going to be chilled. We'll use the really nice tongues on top, and then everything else will be chopped up and mixed in with the custard.
So everything, all of our cooking, we try and cut things at the last second, all of our infusions, just to kind of preserve the aroma. So with something like this, if we made this earlier, all the aroma is gone. So it has to be last second. So like the fish aroma, just like his mushroom broth, everything is being done the second we need it. Yeah, our service is a lot of a la minute cooking, whether it's infusions, finishing on the grill, smoking, frying, steaming. We don't prep during the day to reheat. We prep in the day to be able to get to that last moment where something's at its peak. We basically go into service with a bunch of raw vegetables and obviously proteins. There is no sous vide bath. Our combi oven is our plate warmer. We use the barbecue, we use a steamer, and a fry pot. We can only do one service because we need quiet hours to start at 10. If you look around me, we have our first round set. So with 18 guests tonight, we'll cook in 3 groups. Really, we're only doing things per course 3 times. So Dan is working on pickles, Sam is working on the raw course, and Marlena is working on chilled vegetables. And throughout the night, we don't really have to talk to each other because everyone knows what the next steps are. Sat on 2?
Yes.
So we've set our first table. Kitchen turkey on the gravy. It's right around the corner. It's table 1, so keep the volume down.
Yes.
Sat on 2 more.
Yes.
Yeah, we work with the door open. So anytime we're talking, we're just, from now on, volume down. So usually when it's just beautiful out this time of year, guests don't really want to come inside and start their experience. So 5:45 right now, we do have 3 tables set, which is good for us in the kitchen because we can get the night going. If there's a whale in the cove, service is ruined because the whole restaurant gets up and they go outside and everything that we're slowly cooking has to halt, and we try not to have any whales in the cove. Yeah, go all the way on swim. Your comeback will be 6 kohlrabi into 6 ab.
Yes.
The majority of our cooking is very importantly based on timing. So you see like one thing hits the tray, the sauce arrives, the kohlrabi arrives, and it walks. So everything has to be instant. So when it's hot, it's crispy, whatever the texture or taste that we're going for is present and it hits the table within 10 seconds. You come from a restaurant that's always busy, that's world famous, and you move up here and everyone's telling you it's never gonna work. They're like, what are you doing? You have a great thing going on, you should stay. And I'm like, no, I'm moving to Elk. Everyone is like, it's never gonna work. And I'm like, no, it's going to work. We opened in May 2018, 5 nights a week. We would have 2 nights where there's just 0 covers. You might do 1 table. A big night would be 6 or 8, and that went on for probably like 3 or 4 months. Luckily, there's a hotel here, so the room rate helped us get through that a little bit. Slowly over time, we pick up, and then you're doing 4, and 6, and 8, and then you're doing 12. We got through that first winter, and then gained a little traction. Food and Wine helped a little bit. We got a first Michelin star, and then that kind of put us on a path. You can go on all 6, kohlrabi.
Yeah.
Good cooking.
Tuna, don't let it go to your head.
Never. I know I'm trash at heart. Gotta stay humble.
I think we had a really good service. The only comment I have is the vase in the center of the room. The water could have been changed out today. There was a lot of nights where I cooked the food and served the food and then cleaned the kitchen and then woke up the next morning and cooked those people breakfast. And we did that for 6 months. We don't forget about those days. I don't forget about those days, and it's why we still push on every day.